Life is slow here, stuck in a tie-dye, chasing that redeemer dude, quite the terrified guy. Oh, Terry, take me home to the place I belong, deep and smothered at the CJ. Take me home. Oh, Terry. All these paps earned, fighting goblins, prideful bastard landlord, would-be discord ping lord, flashing red now onto my UI. Time to pop some boosters, anchor up my guys. Oh, Terry, take me home to the place I belong, deep and smothered at the CJ. Take me home. Oh, Terry. I see his ping in the morning hour. Bring me hobbies. Get in OP1. We've got long to go. Free bird in a horde. I get a feeling that I should have been parted home Oh, Terry, take me home to the place I belong, deep and smothered at the CJ. Take me home. Oh, Terry. All these paps and fighting goblins, prideful bastard landlord, would-be discord pain lord, flashing red now onto my UI. Time to pop some boosters, anchor up my guys. Oh, Terry, take me home to the place I belong, deep and smothered at the CJ. Take me home. Oh, Terry.
Sitting in my rooftop, staring at the stars. Saw you.
This ain't a war, it's a goddamn memes race. This ain't a war, it's a goddamn memes race. I'm not a station to tether on, but I digress. I'm a memeing man, and the posts I write are oh so full of shit. Oh, so full of shit, yeah. I'm a memeing man,
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today we have two Frontier players by the name of Wesley Pipes and Kollama. We're going to talk about Frontier. They are part of a corp called Exotech. We're going to talk about, or pardon me, that is it a tribe, gentlemen, or a corp? What do you guys call it in Frontier?
The tribes.
The tribes, okay.
Although I often slip up.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So we're gonna talk to these two about their tribe. We're gonna talk to the two about what their future plans are for Frontier. We're gonna talk about the game, talk about misconceptions, and otherwise we're gonna have fun. So, gentlemen, let's go ahead and introduce yourselves, if you would. Let's start with Wesley. Go ahead and tell us who you are, what you do, and then we'll move on to Kollama here.
Hi there, I am Wesley Pipes, one of the co-founders of Exotech Industrial. And again, we are a tribe that had started at the very beginning of Founders Access of Frontier.
Awesome. So, Kollama, what about yourself?
Yeah,
Let's meet you.
I joined Exotech, I think somewhere around cycle 2 of like the first era. So worked my way up the ranks, and took over as one of the directors for about 3 or 4 cycles ago.
Nice. Okay. So, your guys' corp is pretty much a close-knit group of people. How many people we talking? 150, less than that for the time being?
That depends. Each cycle is a little bit different. Some people, get bored or want to wait for the game to mature a little bit, but there is a general amount of players that return pretty much every cycle. So I would say on average, basically 40 to 60 members in our Discord, over 400.
Nice. Okay. So you guys are a pretty well done sized corp, if you will, or tribe. If it was an EVE equivalent, you'd have a pretty good, decent amount of people that were participating. That's fantastic. So how did you both find Frontier? It seems from basically my interviews I've done previously, a lot of people find it from EVE Echoes. But how did you guys come to Frontier?
Well, for me, I started playing EVE Online in about 2021. Was playing for a couple months, more or less. But ironically, I was just watching random shorts on YouTube when I seen this advertisement for Project Awakening, which it has changed its name.
I remember that, yeah.
When I saw that and thought it was not cooler than EVE Online, but it looked very similar to EVE Online with the, explanation that it would be more personal ship manual, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
So definitely wanted to get into that.
Well, but what about yourself?
I saw it on the socials around the first time that they were sort of announcing it when the first public alpha came out. It sort of struck me as it's just we're having a go at remaking EVE Online, fixing all the things that irked us when we first spun that up. How many years is it ago now? 20 years ago? 18?
20 years ago, yeah.
23 or so?
2003 was alpha, so it would be about 23 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I do wish I was a part of that.
One of the leading members of Karma Fleet and Goonswarm was a gentleman by the name of Phenomenon, and he is well known for being one of the very first EVE players. So it would have been fantastic to be a part of that. But you guys are, on that note, though, you guys are going to be known as people who were there for the very beginning of Frontier, anyway. So that said, so let's talk about your tribe. How did you guys form it? What were your goals? What's the mission? Kind of give me the background data on this. Your little social club, if you will.
Yeah, so when I first started playing Frontier, it was the phase 4, right before, a few months before Founder started, which was, I think, the end of the summer 2 years ago, 2024. More or less, I did meet somebody in the game who I started kind of talking to. His name is Jake Lope. So at the end of that phase 4, we had already, got together on Discord and all that good stuff. And I asked him, I was like, would you want to try making one of these tribes/corporations? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So we planned on doing that. We didn't make our Discord right away, since we only had the 2 of us. As soon as Founders started on December 10th, 2024, our Discord was founded the next day on December 11th. And more or less, I had never been in any leading position like in EVE Online. I had been a part of a couple corporations. I attempted to make my own before I knew all about everything to do in EVE Online. So then I kind of abandoned that and joined up with others for the experience. So then when I joined up with EVE Frontier and asked Jake Lope if we wanted to start up our own corporation, whatever, we did that, and then it was the learning game from then on. And for the record, we were not always known as Exotech Industrial. Unfortunately, I jumped the gun on the name and called it Caldari's First Order, which is a cross between EVE Online and Star Wars. I did not like it, more or less. So we had a directorate conversation followed by a directorate vote for a new name. We asked our members to, pitch out a couple names. I believe we had like 16 name ideas.
Wow.
Followed by 2 voting sessions. We went from 16 down to, I think, 6. And then we had a final vote by the directors. We had members pick up names, and then the directors voted. We had 7 directors at that moment. So we ended up with Exotech Industrial, which ironically was one of my name choices. I forgot what the other one was, but it's not here nor there. So that's basically how we started.
So you're both kind of new leaders, if you will, to a space organization. Have you done anything like that in previous incarnations of MMOs? Have you been like a no? Okay, so you both kind of picked up the mantle and ran with it.
I have more on my side.
Okay.
I've been doing, all the way back to Ultima Online. If anybody remembers playing that, way back in the
dial-up days,
yeah, sort of going up through a few roleplay guilds in there. Anarchy Online, God, that was fun. World of Warcraft was involved in some guild leadership there, just sort of in and out throughout, I guess, the last 2 decades. God,
so you've got quite the gaming pedigree there in terms of starting with Ultima, then going to Anarchy, and then there you go. So well done. I've done
a load of games first. So I was in that first month of EVE Online. I think I was one of the first people into Anarchy Online as well. I sort of jumped into every new MMO as they come along. So this was like a natural of like, it's a new thing that's right up my alley.
Gotcha. Well, fantastic. So that said, what's kind of your folks' goal with the corp at this point? Do you have granted, we don't know what the end game, or I should say begin game of Frontier will look like at this point. We have kind of a hint and the fog of war, if you will. But what's your goal beyond just being a social group? Did you have a vision? Like, what's your long-term plan?
So the long-term plan isn't quite necessary at the moment due to there's still at least another, I'll guess, 2 years. Again, that's a guess. 2 years of Founders Access. So more or less, we in game we just take it with each cycle as everyone's starting off the same newbie per each cycle. So we take that by year. Other than that, our main goal is our community and building up our relationships with our members, gaining new members. We don't have what's the word? We don't have disrespectful members. There's only been one person that's ever been kicked, and that was because he had some issues and alcoholism that made him act a little inappropriately, let's say. So he got removed on good terms, more or less.
Okay.
But other than that, everyone is so nice to each other, respectful. Everybody helps each other. Older members are really good at helping new members, and more or less our Discord and our community is our first priority.
Gotcha. So you're doing it, in my opinion, the best way. You're building a community first, because the game may change or the game may not happen or whatever. And so the Karma Fleet CEO. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Mr. Kollama, you're saying?
No, I was going to. You've got all your standard tropes of like EVE Online corporations. You've got your sweaty PvPers. You've got the trolls. there's wormhole players, there's low sec, null sec, high sec, the red versus blue of it all. I think we're probably in that middle lane of just like the easy going sort of
Gotcha.
laissez-faire sort of group. I don't see us as randomly pivoting to like really heavily industrial or really heavily PvP or anything. I think if anything in the game, I would say that we're more about logistics and transportation. Like every single cycle, we end up coming around to the idea of building a yellow brick road sort of affair. And in the earlier cycles, when gates were really, really cheap, it was a great laugh. We did a few very long gate links that were all public access, so like to encourage other people to like collaborate and yeah, it's good fun.
Those are the days.
So you guys were doing the little gate networks that what's his name? Damon was saying yesterday, like the whole now that there's a ship catapult, if you will, or there's the gates or whatever the cycle's mechanics are at this point in time. So you guys were building that back in the day, right? You're having fun with that.
Yeah, I was a very early adopter of the pockets and things. I really enjoyed the idea of making a safe little cluster. We went to really exaggerated lengths a few cycles ago. Like everybody collaborated and built the biggest ship and then filled it completely to the brim with the most expensive fuel just so that we could make this like 350 light year jump. And this was the only way to get there. So that once we were in that system, we were fairly well protected, because the only way you were going to reach that system was to equally do that like times 5 or times 10. Because if you did it once, yeah, hooray for you. You're in our system where it's one of you against 20 of us, and we've all got respawns. And so that was a really cool mechanic. Similar sort of story now where we're pocketing up and navigating this new slingshot mechanic.
Nice. Okay, so it sounds like as a community, you guys have had some goals and some fun that you've wanted to do, and you've been successful at it. Because that sounds hilarious to me. So
yeah, we've actually had, I'll say 3 positive, worked out great community events that we hosted, and those were at the end of the cycle, PvP tournaments, if you will. Our last one didn't go as planned due to, Reddit griefers. But aside from that, they're really fun. It helps get the community involved in something that's not just, we're all enemies, so we don't like each other, but we try to get everyone, rivalry, enemy, friend alike, to participate. We've had some good turnouts with decent amount of people. I think the biggest one we had was about somewhere between 20 and 30 participants from, all areas of the frontier, which with those big community gate networks that Kollama was just talking about to allow everybody access, which normally all those gates, ours and other tribes, are usually locked to only allow access to their tribes. Which we've always had all of our gates locked until these community events where we would unlock them for anybody to use to make their way to our event, more or less. And in fact, Kollama is now our lead engineer, which is really cool.
For my sins. I love that the game needs lead engineers, but that's very my speed. If everybody
so
says
cool.
That, if EVE Online is spreadsheets in space, then EVE Frontiers is definitely going to be, vibe coding and AI and blockchain in space. It's just the natural progression.
We're gonna engineer in space. Yeah, we're gonna get to that here in a second. I did have a question though. First and foremost, like in EVE, we have a phrase: "Don't show competency, or you're gonna get a space job." So congratulations on your space job. So I was actually watching what's his name? Yoten. What's his name? I've never talked to the guy before. Yoten was watching you guys do your event on stream, and he kind of was like doing a recap, if you will, of the the not terrible outcome, because any fun outcome is an outcome, if we will. But he was watching the event unfold, and as it was interrupted. So, what's your experience so far with the Fender's crew in Frontiers? It sounds like you guys all kind of work together and can interact. And hey, we're going to do an event, and then he'll log in and stream it. What's your take on their
Very
crew
good.
so far? That they're good people?
Oh, I absolutely love and respect most of everyone in the dev community for Frontier and probably EVE Online, since they're, same people, so to speak. I haven't had any bad encounters, interactions, conversations, or anything like that with them. I've only talked to a small handful, whether it be Yoten, Overload, Degent, Swift, one more, I can't seem to remember their name. But I think they're a decent group, and anytime you have, say, a bug or a problem, or you need to give somebody, one of the devs, a heads up for something, and you ping them in their Discord, unless they are asleep, they will respond very quickly. I just reported a bug. Yeah, it was like yesterday, or it might have been the day before. There was somebody that logged out and they were inside a refuge, and well, friendly PvP, not disrespectfully, we ended up killing his refuge. More or less, this is a test to see how it would go, how it happens, and to do it. So we killed this tiny little storage and then killed off his refuge. But for some reason, his ship, even though he was logged out, himself, his character is still in the game. So the refuge. Yeah, the refuge disappeared and his character stayed right there, but it was invulnerable. You couldn't lock him, you couldn't hit him. I tried to ram him, and it was like a unmovable structure that made me bounce, and it was weird. So I pinged Yoten and Overload about this, and they was like, yeah, it's just a bug, blah blah blah, whatever. But more or less, the point is, with whatever situation you've got, if it's something that needs to be told to them, whether you make a in-game F2 bug report, or you go make a bugs ticket in the Discord, or you just ping them with a mention, somebody will always respond the moment they see it. And
Nice.
they're a decent group. What you were saying about the streaming, that's I think it's the second time where Yoten came and streamed our PvP event. One of the first ones before they made the network nodes, before network nodes were even a thing. You could build your base, your structures anywhere in space, kind of like now, but a little bit more cooler, I guess you could say. They had these other structures that were just for decoration called a hedgehog. They look like these big old X's or whatever. We had a big tribal base where everybody had their structures in one spot, and then like 25 to 50 kilometers below us, we had our XD arena. And we did one of these PvP community events, and we didn't even know that he was going to live stream it. All of a sudden, FC or CCP at the time went live, and all you see is our area, and it was really cool. He was in that invisible ship. That was so cool. But that was a really fun experience to see him surprise with a live stream, and that one went really well. It was really fun.
No,
The devs are very lucky in this game because because it's still in development. It's quite a small player base. So they can get much more involved. Like if the EVE Online admins turned up and sort of started assisting a player-run event, I think there'd be outcry because you can't be like, well, why are you helping them out and not us? But yeah, they've got such a small pond here that they're fishing in that they can get really much more involved. Like in the last cycle, they were offering to teleport people across the universe to take part in the event, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to, because there was no gate networks as excessive as they have been in the last cycle.
Did that.
That was really cool.
Yeah, they did that last time for that first stream that they did about our PvP event, where it wasn't a planned thing, but all of a sudden people were talking in their stream about, oh, that's cool, I wish I could play, but I'm too far away. And he was like, oh, what's your name? And then he teleported people in. This time it was kind of more planned. He just told me to let people know at the moment of the event that if somebody wants to join and they're too far to message him or send them their name, and he would teleport them. But either way, it's really cool, and they are an amazing development team. I haven't had experience with any others, but for the experience that I've had with these guys, they are amazing. And I am absolutely happy, thrilled, and overjoyed to be taking part in this pre alpha development, whatever stage, like EVE Online did back in 2002. I am very happy to be a part of this.
Nice. Yeah, no, we Overlord is, I think, a person who doesn't get a whole lot of mention other than it's like everyone else, and then Overlord, and that kind of stuff. But it was funny when this first all began happening. He was talking about the changes to the backend code, and everyone was like, "Wait, hold on! Did he just say that they're going to be putting stuff from Frontier into the core game?" And he's on stream going, "Yeah, that's the plan. When we fix an issue in Frontier, and if it can be fixed in there, then we're just going to go ahead and put the code in." And everyone's like, "Okay, we like this concept now because you're going to be fixing things in Eve." And Overload is one of the guys who is really pushing that. So cool that you guys have those interactions. I love Yoten is a ball of energy and a half. So
Absolutely.
it's cool to see that he gets to interact with you folks, not just from a perspective of being a community dev and everything like that, but actually joining in on things. And he'll do the same thing in regular Eve. He'll show up to fights, and he'll stream it either on his channel or the CCP channel. So it's cool that you guys are getting all those interactions. So you talked about Kollama. You're going to be the tribe engineer now. I think one of the most misunderstood concepts of Frontier is the coding, scripting, and blockchain aspect of it. So what are some of the plans you have, or what's been your experience so far with that aspect of Frontier? Can you kind of tell us how you've discovered it, what you've done with it?
Yeah, I think it's there's obviously a lot of stigma around it, and a lot of white noise surrounding, oh my god, blockchain this, blockchain that. For me, it's just like other games just release a mod kit, and like, you know, World of Warcraft just said, okay, we're now accessible to mods. Here are all the ways that you can access the game. Here are all the ways that you can interact with the game at the code level and make mods. But EVE Online doesn't have that so much because it's a very locked up system. You can't be interacting that heavily with the game code.
Yeah.
And that's always been a challenge. And if anything, EVE Frontier feels to me like an answer to the question, how do we make EVE Online more mod accessible and more like community programmer accessible?
Nice. Okay.
The blockchain really is just means that the legend of the game, you know, who has what inventory is in what structure, is all held somewhere centrally where you can manipulate it safely, as safely as possible. And you know, the beauty of blockchain is everybody has the ledger, and so it's very difficult to fake or dupe or misbehave. That's the whole founding, to my mind at least, behind the whole concept of blockchain. You know, so many people share the information that you can't fake it, and so it's a very safe way of holding all of this information of who's got what or in what container and stuff.
Nice, okay.
There have been lots of really interesting case studies through the last cycles. Back in the day, every new gate that was built was immediately published on the blockchain. And so one of our previous developers managed to scan the blockchain at all times. And any time a gate was built within 500 light years of our base system, in our Discord, we immediately got a ping saying somebody's building a gate nearby you. And so we could respond really quickly, really actively. That was really good fun.
That was amazing.
So you can use it. So it sounds like a tool that Damon Zell yesterday mentioned. It's kind of like Nexus mods for Skyrim.
Exactly.
In the sense
exactly
that it's
right.
you're adding you're boosting the game.
And like you can really insert yourself into the UI of the game. So you open up every structure, and it has like a panel in the middle that's blank, and you can tell the game what to put in that panel. So
okay.
people are hosting external web tools, you know, using Railway or whatever externally hosted services, and you control what pops up in that window, be it a market, be it a ticketing system,
Nice.
We're running a really nice mod from one of the eFrontier map creators called Civilization Control, and that basically means that any tribe member opens up a gate and they click one button and they have access to that gate.
Nice. Okay.
Whereas in prior iterations, you either have to whitelist people or there's loads of ways around working around how to get people access to your gates. But now it's super easy, and that's one of the things that I really like about the game is that the world is really your oyster in terms of what you can do with it.
So it sounds
Now,
like it's.
I want to.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to say one thing about this game in the blockchain. Now, I've heard so many people, seen so many comments in Reddit and whatnot on YouTube. So many people are hating, so to speak, on the game because they think it's a crypto cash grab or something like that. I just want to state for anyone that hasn't played the game or seen the game or doesn't know anything other than, oh, it's on the blockchain, it's going to be a crypto cash grab. Listen, if you're not a programmer or even knowing about blockchain, crypto, or anything, you can get into this game and never even know that there was anything crypto related. Now, there is a test token that is used to buy a item meant for mining for crude, but you don't have to deposit cash or anything like that to use this or to have this. There's a currency transfer from the in-game Lux cash money to the
token
EVE token. Yeah. So more or less, if you think it's a cash grab, play the game before you write your hate mail or anything of the sorts, because this game is at the first and foremost, it is a game before anything else. And that's what it's going to be, even if there is real world value on in-game assets, which does sound really cool. But even EVE Online has its.
So yeah, there's already value in EVE Online. All of the press pieces about EVE Online are about how somebody lost $20,000 of real life money because something got nixed or stolen or ambushed. Like, there's already value, real world value in these games. That's never been a secret. And so they're just, I think they're just formalizing that and having a way to keep control of it, because the EVE Online market is certainly a bit of a black hole. It's a real sort of no man's land, what you can do and what you can get up to and what you can buy. There's all sorts of opportunity for bad actors in that forum. Many stories of, oh, well, I tried to buy an account and I didn't get it, or I tried to buy a ship and it immediately got ambushed and killed the second I got ownership of it. All of that sort of fun stuff. You can foresee ways that they can protect that more through the blockchain. There'll be much less opportunity for that sort of stuff. You can code into the game markets and interfaces where you say, right, if you give me 20 EVE, I get this item. And there's no fraud there at all. The blockchain handles all of it. You publish one contract that says swap these items between these two players, and when they both click yes, and only once they both click yes, the items are transferred. But there's no chance for one person to click yes, take the thing and run. Like it just enables consent on both sides.
Nice.
And it's amazing.
So it sounds ultimately like there's been a lot of misconceptions, misconstrued comments on Reddit and various other places about the Fingerclip blockchain game and how there's NFTs and all this crazy stuff. And so
there's no more NFTs in eFrontier than there are in EVE Online.
Right.
Like you've got a massive carrier, it's worth $5,000. How is that any different to something having value in eFrontier? It's just that you can point more clearly to its value in eFrontier because it has a token amount attached to it, wherein in EVE Online it's completely just a buyer's market.
Gotcha.
I would add to that statement that EVE Online's got the you add real money into the game, and then you have assets that are worth that money, but they're only worth that in the game. In Frontier, after launch, same thing applies. You take your real money, add it into the game, and then you have items, ships, modules, or the token itself that you can reverse and take your money back out of the game, which I know there was a lot of legal issues with that in EVE Online at some point, which I don't know much about. I just heard about. But this being on the blockchain, utilizing the technology of the blockchain, not that it is a blockchain game. It's just using that technology to make a really cool game related to EVE Online, which I find this entire thing awesome and very fascinating.
So, do you two feel that, you know, like if I've got several people from Frontiers coming on over the next couple of weeks. You two, I've had Damon on, and you're all kind of saying the same things, and so that's cool. But I've not really heard that from Frontier themselves. Do you feel that maybe Frontier should come on some streams of both Frontier and Eve players and say, hey, let me just reinforce what's already been said and what in
It almost feels like they're trying to distance themselves from it as
Yeah.
much as possible. Like, there's probably some sort of internal tracker. As few times as possible that they can say the word blockchain is probably
Right.
a win in their eyes, because they
Gotcha,
know there's
gotcha.
so much negative connotation. It is literally just the database system the game runs on. It happens to utilize the technology, but it's nothing really like, you know, blockchain just comes to mind. Bitcoin, Ethereum, the coins from he who shall not be named, all of those sort of crazy things. It's completely separate from that. It is
Gotcha.
leveraging a very novel technology in a very novel way, but it's completely different from everything you know of blockchain and token currency, I would say.
Now, I would say to your question, should they? Yeah, absolutely. But the way I would imagine they probably feel this way. Let's see. If you hear it from the devs, your interpretation are going to be, well, they just want you to play their game. They just want you to buy their game and spend money on their stuff. So obviously they're going to say things. But if you hear from 100 players of the game talk highly of it, and everything basically that you've been told or that, you know, we're saying, I feel that the listener is going to take the player's word over the devs, because the players aren't working a job to make a game that they're going to get paid for no matter what. They'll get more money. The company will get more money, the more players. So coming from players versus the devs is probably a better marketing tool than them saying, now, do I think that they should? Absolutely, but probably not as much as the players. So coming from us is probably a little bit better for the game's health than if it was to come from them.
I was talking to Damon yesterday, and one of the more hilarious, I forgive the guy entirely because it was more of a media hype, and this was 2 years ago, so this wasn't now, and it's been kind of clarified and further emulsified there. So ultimately, at the end of the day, one of the guys in Eve was talking about how, in his opinion, based on the comment that was made by somebody, Hilmar wanted you to put your mortgage up on the blockchain, and if you lost a ship, then you lost your mortgage and you couldn't afford rent, and then out of the game. And it was like this weird conjecture. So I think we've progressed a lot from the misconceptions of old, but I think you're right. What I'm going to do is I'll have to reach out to some more Frontier players and get people on, but I'm also going to ping Yoten and be like, hey, pardon me, Yoten, I was corrected by Rampant last time. We're going to do blockchain 101. I'll see if I can bring on some people that can talk about the blockchain and kind of.
I mean, that's always been the case in EVE Online as well. Like, there is nothing stopping you, if you really wanted to, from spending a huge amount of money in EVE Online, buying ships and accounts and all sorts of things, and then losing it all. Like, that scenario is just as possible and more likely in EVE Online than it is here.
Got it.
So I see O or Zero Zigzag stating a question or a statement there. To respond to that, maybe Seema, in the future, if you want to find some of the haters or a hater of it and a non-hater of it, and possibly get them both on at the same time to have a conversation about the pros and cons, so that, you know, could explain things to the haters, so that the hater can explain their side of why they think, you know, things are so negative, to have some sort of middle ground on both sides, maybe.
So let me pause this, out of respect for the two of you spending your time with me today, and address what this gentleman's talking about in the chat. So what he's referencing is an episode I had 2 episodes ago. I had a gentleman who served on the Eve CSM, Council of Stellar Management, Drake Idon, and another gentleman from Fenris, FC Rampant, who they both do a lot of the player side and development side of Pochfin. And I had multiple people reach out to me afterwards about, hey, would you like to join our Discord? And you can talk to us and everything like that. Unbeknownst to me, one of the other members of my space tribe joined their Discord and immediately found it full of people using slurs. So that got blown out of proportion on Reddit. I am not here. This stream is not to be a drama stream, not a debate show. I'm here to interview people across all walks of Eve life. Mr. Ozig Zag 00, this is not a stream that is going to be a race. It's a marathon. I'm trying to interview 100 people over the course of 2 years. I am currently booked out on episodes till the end of August. So just because I haven't reached out and bumped you folks specifically to the front of the line doesn't mean that I will eventually not, or maybe I will, maybe I won't, get to you folks. But if you're going to come into my chat and be obnoxious, then you're going to get bumped to the end of the line. So have a good day. I'm going to mute you right now because I'm tired of talking to you about this stuff. We'll get back to you guys when you can behave yourselves. So that said, let's go back to the interview. So we've got...
I mean, just to... I mean, I'm certainly not here for the drama. I'm sort of... One of the reasons I left the drama was because of all the drama, to be fair. But what I would say is that keep your enemies closer. I would probably prioritize interviewing that person first, because then it takes all of the wind out of their sails. Like, if next week you interview that person, then they've got no leg to stand on. And if it turns out to be an absolute calamity, or even like squeeze in another one, like, oh, you know what, we're going to do an impromptu one. And if they've got nothing to say, then it's a lose-lose scenario if they're trying to be obnoxious.
The reality ultimately is the gentleman here that's in chat is trying to antagonize things. I'm not going to get antagonized. Again, I've made this clear to everybody, and Alexander's referenced it. I've already had to cancel 2 interviews based on events in game and things that have been said and done in game, and so I'm not going to be intimidated by people, because I'm not that guy. But I'm also not. I'm not here to like he's talking. He referenced a bunch of things that are very unfortunate about EVE Online. I'm not here to participate in that, nor am I endorsing it by having people like Drake on or anybody else, right? And we've had situations where one of the people I had scheduled for a certain episode, there was a rather unfortunate incident that occurred. I'm not going to go into it. It's not what I'm here for. I'm here to interview people and players. And again, I'll have you guys on, not you folks specifically, but I'm shooting for 100 plus people. I'll state this. Let me just pull the curtain back a bit, okay? And I've talked to people about this, but the pure core reason I started this show was so that one of the members of Karma Fleet at the end of the show is going to get a link to the YouTube VOD, a link to the Twitch VOD, and a transcript of what was said to the people in the interview, because that person plays EVE with their blinders on. They only focus on their 3 systems in nullsec. They continue for the last 5 years to make the most uneducated, stupid statements I've ever heard in my EVE career, and I've been playing since 2007. So I want to interview people and then present that information to other people, Fender's Creations, my own corporation, and that way people can see and hear other perspectives. But I'm not here to do it all in 1 month. I'm not going to be one and done. This is going to be a multi-year effort, and if it continues past 2027, great. So if you're going to come on and say things like, why don't I have the largest group of people in the game come on, maybe you should look at your own internal issues before I bring you on. Not that I don't want you on the show, but you kind of eliminated yourself when those things were posted on Reddit. That's all I'm going to say about that. But thank you for chatting and thank you for viewing. So let's continue on, going back to the core episode here. I don't want to waste any more of my guest's time today. So
You're good.
going back to
I do want
go
to
ahead.
compliment you. I'm sorry. I want to say that I think that what you're doing, the plan for it, and everything about it is just an amazing thing. And I want to thank you for putting on this type of content for anyone, anywhere to be able to see and get more information from the players rather than just from the devs and stuff like that. So thank you for doing this type of
Certainly. No, the whole plan.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Kollama, you're going to say.
Yeah, all the good press this game gets is useful because there's obviously it's coming from a bit of a back foot. And actually, to call back to one of the questions that you said long ago was, what's one of our guiding lights as a tribe? I think it's probably just to enrich the game as much as possible. If we can defend we all really enjoy playing this game. I think if we were going to say that we had one guiding light, it was to make as many people enjoy Eve Frontier as possible and try and not naysay, but just try and convince those haters that it is a game worth playing and it is a game worth being excited about.
One of
also why I do live stream it.
Exactly right. No, and that's so. To pull the curtain back even more, and a funnier thing, there's a gentleman on your guys' subreddit that basically likes to make fun of Eve players and call us all RMT, masterminds and everything else. And I posted a post on your guys' subreddit about, hey, I'm going to have these folks on my show. Here's who I am. Most of you don't know who I am. Blah, 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 blah. And I made fun. I said, hey, Bitcoin Eve enjoyers, tongue-in-cheek as a joke. And then this guy goes off on this whole paragraph about how I'm somehow an RMT kingpin and I should be banned from the game and blah, 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 blah. And this actually happened. And my comment to him was, listen, as a player base, a joint player base, that includes Vanguard, that includes EVE Online, that includes Frontier. All three player bases, succeed or fail at having continued fun in the Fenris universe. Yes. If we support each other, right? If we're crossing the divide and saying, hey, Exotech, or hey, Reap, or hey, whomever, right? 762, or Goonswarm, or Winterco, or whatever the hell alliance or group you are in, regardless of what has happened or what has occurred. Come on my show, let's talk, and let's get your point of view out there and get people to know each other and cross. Yeah, because RMT is allowed in Eve Frontier. Mr. Lackle, my retirement plan, is to become a Twitch streamer and this RMT the living shit out of the game. I want to become the richest Eve player in the universe. I'm going to buy Frontier with their own Bitcoin. He's a good dude. He's actually a future guest on, so I'm giving him a hard time. But anyway, to that end, and I think you both would agree with this, that the more we cross-pollinate in terms of a player base, the more the game succeeds. Not just Frontier.
Absolutely.
But,
Absolutely.
So that's why the point of this show. So I'm glad that you guys are on the show today and here to talk about Eve Frontier. So I guess with that said, now that that's been a great segue, in a nutshell, if there was a message you two could pass on to Eve Online players, right, from the Eve Frontier universe, if because Damon did this yesterday, he had his little message to the Eve players. What would be your message to Eve players, if you could? What would be a succinct, here's who we are, here's what we're going to do, welcome aboard if we want to play, go for there. So
you want to take it first, Kollama?
Yeah, I would mostly just say give it a go and keep an open mind. Not necessarily with us, everybody's different strokes for different folks, but give it a go because it is worth playing, even as just a thought exercise, and don't write it off. I get a lot of, in the Discord, there's a lot of people saying, oh, this game was useless, it was vaporware, I'm never playing it again. I was like, drop in for a cycle. If it's not for you, that's okay. It's an alpha. We're all very aware of the fact that it is a very rough alpha. And as Damon was saying yesterday, we're just playing like a foundational set of gameplay functions here. This is not yet a game. This is this is really the building blocks of a game that we're just fiddling around with to see what works and what doesn't. Come in and give it a go for a cycle. If it doesn't work for you, keep checking in on it, because it is eventually going to be something really cool.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. And what I would say to anybody in EVE Online that either hasn't played, hasn't heard of it, or has heard of it and wants nothing to do with it, I would say first, like Kollama said, keep an open mind. Second, before looking at it like a negative copy, cash grab, EVE 2.0, or anything like that, first try it, check it out, then gain your opinions and share them, whatever. It is, again, a game before anything else. And if you weren't there from the start of EVE Online, EVE Frontier is in its alpha founders, and everything is subject to change and grow. So anything you don't like will probably change in one way or another. So give it a try. Don't just create judgment based on what you hear or based on the fact that it's on the blockchain. It is, again, a game, not a blockchain game. It's a game built on the blockchain, utilizing that technology. And if you don't know anything about it and you play the game, you'll never even know it's there. With that being said, give it a try.
I think it's also an amazing opportunity, because there are plenty of people who love EVE Online but are really frustrated with some elements of it. Like, oh, I really wish they changed this, or I really wish they changed that. But that game is now so big and so many different opinions, that's never going to happen. Like, that game is really baked in now. playing EVE Frontier is an opportunity to be on the ground floor of, I mean, I don't want to call it EVE 2.0. I think they're completely different things to be there. They're purposefully trying to go in different directions. I would not refer to this as EVE 2.0. It's as if you've got your favorite set of books. You've got your favorite author in the world. You've read their main series 10 times. You absolutely love it. And then they bring out a new set of books that's in the same universe. And you get to choose how the characters develop. Like, there's nothing better than coming into a game and actually knowing that you're having an effect on shaping how it is created. That's why early accesses and betas have become such a massive thing. Like, every single major game now goes through an early access because it's fun to be involved in the creation of the thing you want to play.
Absolutely.
So you should get involved in that for nothing else. And yes, alphas aren't easy. And yes, early accesses have bugs, and they're going to do things and take turns that maybe piss you off on occasion. But that's the joy of early access. It's like, you've got to just roll with those punches. There's a lot of fun to be had in that process.
I want to.
Yeah, and these devs, they pay close attention to all of our feedback. And if the majority of the community is saying that this one thing that they just added sucks or it's bad, they will either change it, remove it, or fix it to where it fits the community. We are helping them build this game. So your feedback, everyone's feedback, is absolutely crucial, and they do pay attention and listen to everyone.
I want to point out one of the statements by a gentleman by the name of Old Longy. Generally, pardon me, that's presumptive. He says, I played EVE from beta. It was amazing till it wasn't. EVE Frontier has more potential. And so, he's not wrong. From an EVE, I've been playing since 2007. And, there you go. Okay. He is a gentleman from person from EVE Frontier. So welcome aboard my stream. Thank you, sir. Or lady.
Member of XT.
Okay, so he's a member. Okay, so he's a member of. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so they're not wrong, right? Because I've been playing EVE since 2007, and I've had burnout moments where I've been like, I'm done, right? And I hope that this never happens to you two as leaders. I'll tell a fun story. Goon Swarm was invading our space. I was part of IT Alliance at the time, and we had decided to pick a fight with Goon Swarm, which was the dumbest thing we could have ever done. But I had nothing to do with it. I was just a HR director at the time, and I get a phone call from one of my. There's direct level, then there's managers, and there's line members. I get a phone call from one of our our managers, going, "Oh my God, there's a goon fleet in our system and they've trapped a ratter and we're about to lose a carrier. What do I do?" And I go, form a fleet, get some defenders, and chase them out of the system. I don't know how to do that. So my burnout moment, number one for Eve, this would be about 2011. I'm in the frozen food section of a grocery store. I've worked a 12-hour day, and now I have this guy panicking himself about a video game, calling my cell phone, and I have to join TeamSpeak using the early iPhone app, which was shit. And I'm organizing a fleet from the frozen food section of Safeway, having to move over to the Starbucks because it had free Wi-Fi. And so, to old Longy's point, yes, it is fun until it's not. And I really feel that once Frontier gets the sale out and it really starts pushing and Vanguard really gets pushing, we as an Eve community can take a break from online and play Frontier, or we can take a break from Frontier and play Vanguard, or alternate between those three things. And I think that that's a way that, not that I'm Hilmar's, psychic or anything, but I really feel that that's something that we as a player base should anticipate and support, and not put everything down. So very good point. Let's see here. Thornfield has a question. I'm also having fun, but there are a few elements that seem poorly designed, easy fixes, but it depends on their intentions. So yeah, man, it's as both my guests have said, and Damon Zell before them said, this is an alpha. You put stuff in the alpha that you wouldn't put in a production environment. So we'll have to see what they do. But ultimately, you're not wrong. There's going to be some stuff you don't like. I'll be honest. I loaded up Frontier my first time, and I ran out of fuel or whatever it was. And I'm like, what do I do now? I'm stuck here. So
I think we're probably in one of the most fraught cycles at the moment. Like,
yeah,
it
absolutely.
feels like there's maybe more hate for this cycle than there has been on any cycle prior, to be fair.
Like,
this is one of those bumps in the road. It's a really tough one, but just because it's such a big change.
Yeah.
It's now very easy to die. I think that the game was probably on easy mode prior this cycle, and it is so much easier to get yourself in trouble now.
That was
I was just going to say, it was supposed to be a survival game, and this cycle actually feels like it's more on the survival side than they have been in the past. Easier to die, harder to do things, not harder to get, to mine and make, but just the lack of multiple ships, only having the one, you got to fit it correctly with the modularity modules and all that stuff. It just seems like you have to do more to survive rather than, here's some danger, let me log out.
Yeah, I in an effort to kind of get used to the interface in the game and that kind of stuff. I'd been a founder for about maybe under a year now. And I've never installed it. I was more or less giving Yoten a boost, an ego boost, and said, "Hey, I'm supporting you. Here's my foundership." And he's like, "Cool, we're gonna have some fun together." And I said, "Okay, cool." So I loaded the game up just about middle of last week, and my normal streaming schedule is Tuesday, Thursday, but I've just had a really rough week. So I load up Frontier, get in the game, and I'm out there mining, and I'm out there. Okay, this is cool. I can see how we'd want to do this on scale. And then I try to do something and I can't move. And I'm like, what the hell? Oh my God, there's fuel in this game? That's nonsense. This never happened in Eve before. So I'm sitting there. I'm about to hit the start stream button and I'm out of fuel. And I'm like, okay, I either can do one of two things. I can shut my mouth and turn the game off and relax. Dave Archer, I'm here for probably about another 10 minutes. We're going to do a couple more questions, and I was going to bounce over to Bombeldo or somebody else. Are you guys jumping the meta show, or are you going to start the meta show here? Hold on, gentlemen. We're going to... Dave Archer is the host of the INN meta show, and if he's going to start his stream... Oh, you're doing it on the FC channel. Okay. Tell you what, man, I will totally raid you guys. Oh, no, you're going to raid me. Okay. No, I was going to bounce out here in a little bit. So here, while we're talking, ladies and gentlemen, if you are not familiar,
to soak up the raid though, get the questions. Everybody raid, and they can have.
Tell you what, Dave. Yeah, go ahead and raid us. I'll keep going. If you two gentlemen want to keep going, we can keep going.
Yeah. Q&A.
Okay.
Q&A portion.
Dave, go ahead and bounce it over here. And we'll go from there. So we'll do we'll extend the stream a little bit. We'll do some Q&A sections. Go ahead and raid, Dave.
Absolutely.
So where I was going to go with this is, yeah, we're going to go long. Thank you, Ragnar, because my keyboard is not working on this thing here. So anyway, no, take your time, Dave. We'll just keep talking. So yeah, so I'm sitting there in the game, and I'm just like, man. And I pulled a typical Eve player, right? I'm like, oh, F this, and this is terrible, and
Rage quit time.
it's a rage quit time. And I was like, no, hold on, it's an alpha. Yoten would not lead me astray. I'm very much a fan of his. So I had to I just logged out. I'm like, nope, I'm just not going to stream this week. I will do stream prep for the 2 interviews. So let's ask a couple of questions before the raid gets here, because I want to kind of keep it the next section of the stream Q&A stuff. But let's talk Yoten himself, right? He's always wearing this bathrobe, okay? And it's a classic. He's been doing it for years. Eve has a swag store. Just tossing this out there. Do you feel if Fenris opened up a Frontier swag store and sold a Yoten bathrobe, do you think people would buy it? And or, might I add, an in-game adornment for your character? Or as I think they're called, shells.
I'd buy one. I'd buy a bathrobe. It's probably time to get a new bathrobe. I would buy that bathrobe for sure.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Just to show
nice.
support. Because what I always find is that games, you can't measure any more game value. We bought our founders a year ago, so a game that I bought for however much founder cost, I've forgotten now, and I bought it twice. I've gotten so many hours of fun out of this game. So
absolutely,
if there's more opportunity to show support, I'd be up for that.
So on the topic of founders, I'll give you a funny story. So we, the player base, are getting something palpable out of the founder base, of our founder purchase. There was a game a very long time ago. This was about 2011, 2012. This was after IT Alliance failed and all of us left Eve. And we were playing this futuristic Earth mech game where you could swap in and out of mechs. Not mechs, but biosuits, and you were running around trying to restore Earth and everything like that. But it was a purchased alpha, and they weren't advertising it as an actual MMO beta yet. It was a pure alpha. Well, by the time the beta was half over, all the people who bought Founder, and I'm using that word, it was a different word then, we were all notified that the studio had lost its funding, and the game was going to basically go kaput in the middle of the beta. And so what they did for us was they said, hey, we can't refund you your money because we're bankrupt. But remember when Steam was doing those badges? And they unlocked all the badges for us. So someplace in my Steam account, I still have this founder badge set from decades ago. And so, and we only got to play it for a month. That was the alpha. We were having fun with it. It was great. And then the game died, and I don't even remember what it was called. I have to go back in my Steam purchases and see it. But with Frontier, we're at least we're part of a community. You guys are building your community around your tribe. And Merkelchen, the Karma Fleet CEO, once very wisely said, even if we were kicked out of Eve tomorrow, we would find another game and we would all play that game. And so, so just because you're buying a founder and just because you're having fun doesn't necessarily mean that the world's over if the game isn't fun for you. So, well, there we go, gentlemen. Let's see. We got some other people following. Perfect. Hey, we're just waiting for Dave and Keith to wrap up here. Let me actually pull them up real quick to prepare. So, if you're not familiar with the Meta Show, the Meta Show is Keith Stone and Dave Archer. They've got FC Swift and FC. Oh, they've got some FC people on the show today. They've got Kestrel, Swift, and K1P1.
Oh, nice.
And so they're gonna talk. But yeah, so Dave and Keith took over from Brisk and Yoten actually, back when he was Mark Resurrectus. And so the two of them are quite hilarious. Dave is Goonswarm Federation FC. Keith, I think, is not part of Goons. I don't know, but they're both hilarious people. And I did not know that they streamed the Meta Show at this time, because when I was picking the stream times, I was deliberately doing it around times people started and stopped to not overlap. And then apparently they changed their stream times, so we'll see what happens here. But I do appreciate you two hanging around. Oh, they changed it to get on the FC channel. Well, damn it, Ragnar. You know.
I personally have never heard of the Meta Show,
Perfect,
but
okay.
I'm definitely going to check them out. I would imagine they have their own Twitch channel, probably. I'll definitely check.
Yeah, it's INN, Imperium News Network. It was back when the Meta Show's been around for forever. It's basically the Goonswarm and Imperium a lot. So in Eve you have your corporation. You have there you go. Ragnar did a shout out. You have your corporation, you have your alliance, and then you have your coalition of alliances. So Goonswarm Federation is our alliance, and that's the tribes coalesced into a group. And then ultimately, so I had to change it. Okay, gotcha. Well, Dave, I apologize. I'll have to bump this stream up to avoid overlapping on you guys. So anywho, So INN is kind of like our Alliance's news network, and it's a streaming network, so there's a bunch of streamers that play games on there. Dave will FC, he'll do breaking news, and it's fantastic. It's great. But at the peak of the war, right, we had this massive war back in 2020. At the peak of the war, the Meta Show would get 1,000 people viewing it, and then the battle would not end on INN, it would go to Reddit. You'd have me and other people having these arguments back and forth. I would go deliberately write a counterpoint to one of the enemies' point-by-point outline of everything that was fake on the Meta Show, and then I would go and write incredibly incorrect facts about what was stated on the show, and then that would start this giant argument. So you're talking about content creation, and it's not. The meta game is pretty intense, but that's what the Meta Show is. The Meta Show talks about the in-game meta, and it talks about the events that are currently going on. It interviews people and guests of all over the place. So they've got the good guest right now. Not that I don't have good guests as well, but they've got Kestrel and Swift and K1P1. But they kind of cover the meta gaming of it. I just want to talk to people and interview people. So. But there you go. It was a morale booster news program, a General Eve show when it started. Yeah, so we'll go from there.
With over 50,000 followers, that's an amazing feat. Holy jeez.
Yeah, no, they have quite a few people to do the show. So looks like they're wrapping up here. So what we'll do is we'll kind of just do some Q&A. I'll ask the chat, hey, everyone, I'll introduce you two again. I'll introduce myself, and then we'll go ahead and do the Q&A section. So here we go. Let me grab some water, take a break. And I appreciate you guys kicking around here. So,
yeah, not a problem. Always down to do streams.
You're gonna get
just in game. I'm just mining. I'm just mining in the background.
One of the people that we're going to be talking to is a gentleman by the name of Young Puke, who is a very interesting fella. He may be in chat when he pumps over here. We'll have to make fun of him. And go from there. I like Young Puke. He's a good dude. All right.
All right, here they come.
Here they come. Holy cow. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard This Eve Life. My name is Seema. I've never, ever played EVE Online before. I discovered the game last week when I was kicked from my World of Warcraft raid guild for playing the, Careless Whisper on a harmonica. And so I was kicked from my World of Warcraft guild, so I began playing EVE Online and decided to start doing a Twitch stream, interviewing people. The show is called This Eve Life. We are here to interview as many people as I can, but by the time 2027 ends, the point of it is to interview over 100 people from all walks of EVE Life. We're going to talk to people from EVE Frontier, we're going to talk to people from EVE Online, and we're going to talk to people who play EVE Vanguard as well. So we welcome you to the show. We were just talking today to Wesley Pipes and Kollama. They come from EVE Frontiers. Their corp is Exotech. They were here today to talk about EVE Frontiers. Yes, lies and truth, people play Vanguard. I play Vanguard. Of course, I don't play Vanguard like you play Vanguard. I tried to make it a jump puzzle and died because that's what you do. But there you go. So
Vanguard's an amazing game too.
it is, as a listen, gentlemen and ladies, I am a ranked Fortnite player. My ex-girlfriend was a ranked Fortnite player. I'm going to be taking my ranked Fortnite skill into Vanguard, and I'm going to chase Yoten down in his bathrobe, and we're going to eliminate him from the game as much as we can, because that'll be fun. But anywho, thank you, CCP, for rating the stream. It's much appreciated. Dave Archer, you're always a bro. Much appreciate having Ian in here, rate us here. So we had just wrapped up the stream in terms of the interview section, but we'll kind of go over a little bit of questions as well. We'll do some Q&A. We'll have you guys ask some questions. Now's your opportunity to ask questions of Frontier people and Frontier players, and ask any questions whatsoever. I will listen. You ask a question about EVE Online, I will give you the most inaccurate answer ever, and there we go. We appreciate you all coming on. So Wes, let's go ahead and reintroduce you guys. Wesley Pipes, you are the leader of Exotech Technologies. Let's give you a brief intro here to the crowd.
All right, so yes, I am Wesley Pipes. I am not the leader. I am one of the leaders. I am the co-founder of the tribe. But me and that guy, Jake Lope, were noobs at it, so we created a directorate to run the entire tribe together rather than have one specific leader, because I probably wouldn't have been able to do everything that we've accomplished. So yeah, I am Wesley Pipes.
Nice, okay. And
I'm Kollama, sort of fiddling with corp and tribe and clan and guild running since the days of yore over in Ultima Online, Anarchy Online, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I used to play EVE Online probably about 10 years ago and then stopped for mostly the same reason everybody else does. You just burn out. But EVE Frontier is definitely scratching the itch. The spaceships
nice.
And spreadsheets in space itch.
Nice. And I'll introduce myself. For those of you who don't know who I am Seema. I am a known more recently as a Reddit shitposter, propagandist for the Imperium, and overall general pain in the ass to everyone in the game via the form of rage baiting you on Reddit with dumb questions that are inaccurate, but you fall for it anyway. So I much appreciate you coming on my stream here today. We're going to do I'm going to rehash kind of the interviews we talked about previously in the last couple of hours, and then we'll kind of do some Q&A. So if you are a person from EVE Online and you have questions about Frontier, now's your opportunity to put those into the chat. I will pin a couple of them up, and we'll get my two experts here on the stream to answer those questions. So real quick here, let's talk Exotech. You guys started this at what cycle of EVE Frontiers, I think it was?
We started at the second day of Founders Access, which is December 11th, 2024.
Nice. Okay, so you folks have been around for a while. How many people do you have in your community as a whole, and how many of those are active based on like the fluctuations of the cycle?
I think it fluctuates from cycle to cycle.
Yeah.
We've got 50 to 60 in this cycle so far. And more people are rejoining every day, to be fair. As these new patches come out, we're expecting another few people to come back on Tuesday when the next patch comes out.
Nice.
But yeah, how many in total? I'm not even sure.
If I were to guess, because there are people in our Discord that are not even a part of our tribe, but have joined for Diplo purposes, I'm going to guess 250, somewhere between 200 and 300.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there is a large contingent of Frontier people playing, and one of the hopes and dreams of this stream, because it's a vision I have, is to bridge the gap between the Frontiers players and EVE players, because we, as a player base, combined Vanguard, Frontier, and EVE Online, we help EVE Online, we help Fenris succeed in their vision by being a conjoined player base. So that's the purpose of these kind of streams here today. I did want to address a couple of the questions in the chat. The first one, though, is from Coffee Browse. Phone game ? So, friend, Mr. Coffee Friend, the reality that I've gleaned from these interviews over the last couple of times is that EVE Frontiers has a player base coming to it from EVE Echoes, the phone game. So a lot of people from that game are coming into EVE Frontier. They're not coming into EVE Online as a whole. They're going to Frontier. So we should be embracing those folks and saying, hey, welcome to our community. Welcome to the fun, regardless of the game that it is. So there you go. Eve Echoes is the game. There you go. Another question was, why is there a crypto wallet in eFrontier? That is from Friend Robos. So Friend Robos, we're going to discuss that here. You two gave me a great explanation of how the finger quote crypto wallet or Bitcoin or blockchain, as it's called. Would you mind rehashing that for our friend in chat here?
Yeah, so the blockchain in this game is not being used for anything really other than the database where all the game data is stored. And it gives you a really secure way to interact with it. So in EVE Online, you can make a trade with somebody and you can say, oh, you give me this and I'll give you that. Neither of you really have any protection other than, I don't know, going through some sort of escrow service. In EVE Frontier, because we have access to the database and we have the ability to insert our code into it via commands to the blockchain, you can literally set up a contract where you say, right, when both players click this button, the goods change hands. And so it feels like a much safer way of playing an EVE Online-esque game, basically. That's why there is a wallet, in a nutshell, because it allows us... The wallet gives you the funds to interact with that blockchain, is mostly what it is. Eventually, people will turn it into a store of value, but that's no different than EVE Online, because ships in EVE Online have a value. You know, I can point to a ship in EVE Online and say that is worth £1,000. Exactly the same can be true here, but the why of it is it makes the EVE universe more accessible and more moddable.
Nice. So one of the, and we referenced this previously, but I'll restate it. My guest yesterday, folks, I had another gentleman from EVE Frontiers on. His name is Damon Zell. He's one of the EVE Frontiers luminaries, or as EVE players would know, CSM members. And he made the comment that if you view the blockchain in EVE Frontiers more like you would EVE Nexus mods for Skyrim and those games, that's kind of how it really ultimately is at this point. So yep. It isn't like you have to put your like Briscrewball, love Briscrewball, buddy of mine. He made the comment on the Meta Show one year that the whole point of the blockchain was so that you could put your mortgage on the blockchain, and then when you lost your ship, you lost your mortgage. Totally is not the case. That is the panic thinking and leap in logic that was made back then. But that was before we really knew anybody from the game to really have over and talk about it. So, friend Robos, thank you for your question. That was a great question. So there you go. So that said,
one right as we started from Herex the Slayer, about fuel and how limiting it is. The politic answer is that it is not that limiting. It's just a few extra clicks. The real life answer is that it can be quite limiting when you run out of fuel. But that's mostly because you've run out of fuel. It's nothing to do with it being difficult to attain. It's just another step. You know, any sort of game that has an industrial process is mine or refine or turn it into fuel. There's just one extra step here, which is go and get your EVE cred and then use your EVE cred to buy fuel. But in terms of it being limiting, not at all. It's very easy to get the in-game Lux currency that you use to buy EVE, and trade is still a thing. So you could certainly play EVE Frontier and never interact with the wallet once, and you'd still probably not notice that it was there.
Nice.
Absolutely.
So you're not having to be. Oh, hold on. Here we have the Wolf. Okay, yeah, we got you unmuted here. That's one of the misconceptions is crypto bros are running the game, or crypto bros are going to take over, finger quote, frontier nullsec. That doesn't seem to be the case. I've not seen some obnoxious fake Armani suit wearing dude in the Discords. It's been pretty much just regular EVE players, but they're Frontiers players. And so that's what we should be focusing on is, there you go. One of the questions that was asked by a gentleman, and I know he was kidding, but we're going to address it. He wanted a multi-box 20 accounts in Frontier. Given that you have to pay for Frontier at this point, or you get like game time, I guess, is that even doable have they addressed that in the future? Like, what's their plan? Have they mentioned anything about it?
It's much harder to do on one PC. I know of people who are running 3 or 4 PCs to multi-box in that fashion. I think multi-boxing on the same PC, it doesn't strike me as being in the design. You'd probably have to jump through some questionable loopholes if you wanted to multi-box it.
So,
the short answer is yes, but they are also making the game very difficult to run, not to run it like, say, the program itself, but to be able to manually control one ship, you have to have hands-on at all times. So to be able to do that with more than one character will be very difficult. It is doable and it is possible, but again, you got to purchase multiple accounts, use your virtual machine or separate computers, and probably die with the ones that you're not controlling at that moment.
So I'm going to address Swift here, if he's still lurking in the chat, or if he's still watching, or Yoten, pardon me. I need to take a shot every time I say that wrong these days. What Fenris ought to do, okay, is partner with Dell. So for those of you who aren't in the know from a technology standpoint, I've been telling people on the Eve Reddit that I'm a garbage truck driver in real life. I am not. But Dell, for the last 8 years, has really pushed this concept called VxRail for virtualization and hyperconvergence. And when Broadcom took over VMware, they ditched VxRail, but there's a ton of hardware that they can't sell now because it's all VxRail tuned. I think that Fenris needs to spend the money and buy those blades in bulk and sell them to players so that you can multi-box using this hyperconverged single blade Dell server, and it has a NVIDIA graphics card. I think that'd be a fantastic use of funds. Then you'd be making money, and then you'd have Eve themed hardware servers that people could co-locate in the CCP data center in London. So Swift, if you're watching, you can take that idea. It is yours. Feel free to. You don't need to pay me anything for it. Merry Christmas. There you go. So let's look at some other questions here. Is it more like an extraction shooter or an arcade shooter? If you're talking about Frontier, it's an not extraction shooter. Frontier is an MMO similar to EVE Online. Vanguard is an extraction shooter. So you're thinking like Arc Raiders. You're thinking of all those types of things. That's what Vanguard is. Rust in Space. Yes. That is exactly what it is, Rust in Space. Damon Zell here in the chat.
Good description.
Made that comment yesterday, and I really appreciated that because now I have a little pinned statement on my board. Rust in Space. There you go.
What's up, Zell?
Mr. Zell, here he is. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, to kind of recoup here, since we're just now kind of getting through the list of follows, my name is Seema. I've got Wesley Pipes and Kollama from Eve Frontiers Exotech. We were just rated by CCP. Pardon me, take a shot. We were just rated by Fenris Creations and my friend Dave Archer and Keith Stone. They came to us from the Meta Show. We do appreciate their raid. What we're going to do today is we're going to do some a brief Q&A session here with my guests. So they are people who play Eve Frontiers. I am a very incredibly new Eve Online player. I came to you guys from World of Warcraft. So ask questions in chat. Except Millenart Truker, he is not allowed to ask questions. Just kidding, Millen. You're allowed to ask questions. Millen is a good dude. He's a misunderstood dude from the Eve community. But ask questions in chat. We will try to answer them as best we can about Eve Frontiers. I'll come up with some sound bites to ask my guests. But here we go. So we appreciate you guys streaming us. So I do have one question with regards to this blockchain concept. So you guys is like AI and vibe coding is really viewed by some of the Eve player base as this Pandora's box. And then other people in Eve like AI and like the vibe coding concepts. Have you guys experimented with it at all? And does it tie into this blockchain concept from Frontier?
Yeah. Extensively. I was one of those AI detractors as of December. Just at the end of 2025, I would have still said, oh, what is all this AI drama about? I don't care. And then, funnily enough, AI itself converted me. I was messing around at work trying to figure out how to do something. I was like, oh, okay, then I'll ask AI. And it was then that I realized how powerful it was as a vibe coder. And yeah, now I'm making apps, I'm spinning up websites, I'm making Discord bots, things that would have taken me probably years, a college degree of coding experience to know how to do. And now you can do it in 2 hours with zero real experience for like 25p. So it definitely is a Pandora's box, but it's, I think, a benefit for sure.
One of the people I know from Eve, he's a dude I've met in real life multiple times. He reached out one day because he's like, hey, I installed this, and I'm not going to name the tool because it's a tool that you shouldn't be using on your PC. And if you do install it on your PC, don't give it admin permissions. But he was asking it how to do something on his computer, and it ended up wiping his Windows computer profile. So AI is a tool that you should be using with caution, right? So that would be my only statement as a person who uses it professionally for work on a regular basis and have used it to some degree in Eve in terms of the parody music and everything else. So yeah, and then our friend Robos here, who I love this man. He's been asking great questions and making great statements. There's a major difference between vibe coders and AI engineers. Yes, so the vibe coding is kind of what we're going to focus on today. So vibe coding is kind of a way. It's not like a pay to win concept though in Frontiers. A vibe coder would be an asset to you in the game, but it wouldn't necessarily mean that you'd have a better advantage over, say, somebody who didn't know vibe coding, or it would be something else.
That's not strictly true at the moment, but they are moving towards that statement. So eventually all of the key game functionalities will be pre-programmed in there. But at the moment, you definitely need some sort of coder or technical person in your tribe if you want to make the best use of it. Not to make the tools yourself, because there are plenty of public options out there. Shout out to Lacal, Wolf Lacal and his tools, because we use both of them. But you definitely still need some sort of IT experience. You need to be quite savvy with your tech level to be able to instigate those tools, for sure. But they've in their roadmap stream, if anybody's seen it recently, 2 more cycles down the road, we're looking at a place where, as you say, you shouldn't need to vibe code at all to have an advantage in the game.
Nice. Okay.
And this is not my area.
No worries. Like I said, it was a question I was curious about, because one of the things that really annoys Eve players, and some people like it, some people hate the concept, is pay to win. And I'm going to coin a phrase and probably annoy some people at Fenris, but code to win. But that's obviously not going to be the case, and it looks like they're putting some guardrails to that. Real quick here, and we alluded to that earlier in the stream when we talked about Yoten showing up and streaming it. Our friend Mr. Damon Zell asked this question. He goes, what happened to the Cycle 5 PvP tournament, and what lessons from that will change the tournament moving forward? So, Mr. Damon Zell, thank you for that. Just a shout out real quick. Next weekend, I have 2 incredibly awesome women on the show by the name of Rain and Rose. They are both tournament casters from the Alliance tournament. And so I want to dovetail that question into the future stream. Next week on Sunday, 2000, Rain and Rose are going to be on the show to talk about Alliance tournament casting, what it takes to be a good caster, what it takes to be a good entertainer. So feel free to tune into that. But let's go back to that question. So what I was there at the very tail end of it, when one of the guys was apparently coming in a destroyer and he destroyed everything. So can you kind of outline that? Tell that story real quick for the viewers, how that all went down.
Yeah, so I'm sure a lot of people that do play and pay attention to the Frontier Discord, there is a specific person that likes to troll and grief, and he had a little dispute about our first encounters. I believe the end of cycle 4, I want to say, either way. So he got a little upset and wanted to target us, in a sense, at the end of the cycle when 90% of our members were not playing and waiting for the next cycle. With that being said, as we have done in the past with our community event, made flyers and posts in Frontier Discord and this and that, and they acted as if they wanted to partake to show their skills and whatnot, which we obviously knew was probably a false flag, which whatever. But the lesson would be, what do they say in EVE Online? You're never safe in EVE, right? Well, similar to EVE Online, very, very similar is you are not safe if you're not prepared. And even if you are prepared, you're not always safe. So more or less, the lesson is to prepare for potential people to come in and try to disrupt the fun for everybody else.
Yeah, better, much better OPSEC next time was the learning there. Exactly. It was
exactly.
For all of the drama, it was a fun lesson to learn. It didn't go how we want, but I don't think it would be an EVE Online game if there wasn't that sort of drama, because that whole encounter, to my mind, was very EVE universe.
It was a good story. I'll give you that.
It's a great story. Better OPSEC next time.
But one
an
thing
arena that is in a safe that nobody gets the location to until they're actually in the system, until it's their turn to fight. Then they'll be fleeted up with somebody who's actually at the arena. That sort of thing. There are plenty of steps. I think towards the end of the cycle, everybody got a bit complacent, us especially, and we just thought that we'd all have a little bit of fun. But some people were clearly still gunning and carrying their grudges quite effectively, right up until the final gasp of the cycle.
Now, one thing that we learned, and it will be a thing, is there will be some form of security. I don't want to give away the security, but we will have a form of security in OPSEC. The location isn't going to be known until the moment, this and that. So we do have countermeasures to prevent stuff like that from happening in the future. So there will be a Cycle 6 end of cycle PvP tournament, whatever you want to call it, whether it's an actual tournament, a free-for-all, a tribe-for-all, or whatever. More information on that when we get closer to it.
Nice. Okay. One of the questions that came in was, at this point, how long do you think EVE Frontiers would be released? Cycle seems to be the real deal, so what do you guys think? You guys had kind of hinted at a guess, and there's other people saying kind of the same thing in chat. Can you go ahead and answer that one if you had a kind of a point of view?
This cycle is about as far away from the finished product as we can still be. This is an alpha game. I think the roadmap stream that we've had has like a year of development on it.
Yeah,
I would probably say another 2 to 3 years of early access on this before.
My guess would have been the end of next year. Yeah, end of 27, middle 28, roughly, or longer. But that's just a guess. So.
Absolutely. No, the thing to pay attention to in this is that this is an alpha game. It is a well-done alpha game, right? There's a lot of cool things to it, but it's not anywhere near end development. So I'm not in that know right now, but these two are, and Damon Zell is, and so they're all saying about 2 years is wishful thinking. We'll have to see. The point is to join in, have fun, and there you go.
I point out how long was Rust early access before its 1.0 release, and it's not like we didn't all have an absolute blast in that 5-year journey or whatever it was.
Right. I'm going to address a question here. Mad Dog Chaos says, which comes first, Frontier or Star Citizen? Mad Dog, I was a director in a corp that was in IT Alliance that got raffle stomped in 2011. We all quit the game, EVE at the time, and our corp was about 200 people. And around that time was when some of the people in the corp were really picking up on Star Citizen, and we all had these important meetings, and we're going to do Star Citizen. You have to go get the founder pack, and you have to buy the ship, and then we figured out you can do ship insurance fraud, and all these kids were EVE players, and it turned into this mad dash to support Star Citizen. That was 10 years ago. And Star Citizen is still in beta. It is not, as far as I'm aware, ready to go. But it just continues to get feature creep. And to the point, my friend, where I called it Star Citizen Pyramid Scheme Scam. And I was banned from my corp Discord and threatened with an ass kicking if I showed up to our in-person events.
Oh, wow.
because I had offended one of the guys so much because he was such a Star Citizen fanboy. Fast forward to 2020, so 9 years later, okay, Star Citizen is still not released. It's still in the beta effects, and this guy had spent $9,000 in the game.
Oh,
And
my.
was still
You
in
wanna talk about
ships
cash grabs.
and ships and everything else. He is still a huge fanboy, but he and I had a come to Jesus meeting. We apologized to each other. We all got over it. I have never had to spend $9,000 to help Fender's Creations along in Vanguard or in Frontier. Buy the Founder Pack and you call it a day. So my guess, okay, and by the way, I'm the jackass on Reddit who predicted exactly what Fenris would buy themselves for dollar to dollar matching. Okay, I predicted $120 million. That's exactly what Hilmar and his crew got out of the previous company. So I'm going to make a prediction here. Vanguard will come, or not Vanguard, pardon me, Frontier will be released way faster than Star Citizen, and you're probably going to see the death of Star Citizen right around that time, because everyone's going to go, the hell with this, we're going to move over here, and you're going to still have the fan base over there. So that's my psychic. My name is Seema. I am telepathetic, to quote my ex-wife. Way before Star Citizen will be E-Frontier. There you go.
I've never played that one. I think I tried it once for like an hour or two, but my computer wouldn't run it very well, so I said screw that. And I think that was like during some free period or whatever.
Ragnar makes a point. My in-game title in EVE Online is Nostradamus, because I made that post a year ago, and it was this long-winded shit post about blah 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 blah. So my guess would be $120 million, and no kidding, that's the dollar exact that came out. So Nostradamus. But like I said, my prediction would be, just based on knowing the game industry as best as I can, it's not that Star Citizen isn't something you should play, but I just don't see it coming out before Frontier. So there you go.
I always like to
good
play
name
devil's
to play.
advocate. I always like to play devil's advocate, and to be fair, Frontier is being developed, alongside and by a team that has been running a hugely successful space game for the last 20 years.
Right.
So there are compare apples with apples.
Exactly.
Probably the most.
I don't think it would be fair to compare them, because Star Citizen is literally having to try and learn everything fresh,
Absolutely.
without
Yeah.
anywhere near as much prior information and playtesting ability and backing. They're constantly living by the seat of their pants. But CCP is CCP. Like, as long as EVE Online is still going, this game will likely continue to see development.
Absolutely. And I would say EVE Online is probably the most successful MMO, at least of its genre, outside of just MMO, space, sim, whatever you want to call it. I've not seen any other game do nearly as well, and I only started playing that one in 2021, so it's only been 5 years for me.
So I want to address 2 points that Mr. Yotham has mentioned. First and foremost, doesn't mean Vanguard or Frontier any better, just their teams are more organized. So if you are going to buy a product for entertainment purposes, you want to look at it for what's better for you and what is better for you and your friends. If I'm going to go buy a car, I'm going to look at what's best for me as Seema, not so much what's best for Mr. Kollama. But if I'm looking at a community game, I'm going to look at what is best for our community. So truly, Vanguard and Frontier might be better for me and my community than, say, Arc Raiders or Fortnite, or Frontier might be better for me and my team than EVE Online. But one of the things I really feel strongly about, Mr. Yotham, and I'll say this again and again and again and again, we as the EVE player base need to be supporting the EVE Frontier player base as much as we will need to be supporting the future EVE Vanguard player base. And we all need to come together, because by doing so, we are supporting Fender's Creations and their vision. And they're not going to pull this off if we're bitching and screaming and shouting insults at each other because EVE Frontier is shit or EVE is shit or Vanguard is shit. We should be supportive of each other, whoever is playing whatever game. And that's my answer to you is that there you go. Take that as you will. It is going to be a niche game. It's very different from EVE Online, but that doesn't mean it's terrible. It just means that it's not maybe your cup of tea. So there you go.
Come in on that as well. I think
I agree.
EVE Online's problem, I mean, speaking very generally, EVE Online's problem for me, certainly, is the learning curve and the ramp up. And if you join EVE Online today, you've never played it before, and you're looking at these people who have been playing for 20 years and have every single skill in the game researched and have trillions and trillions and trillions in wealth, there is no, that can be very daunting. They're trying to flip that on their head, I think, and they're trying to bring a lot more of the end game, building stations, building gates, building logistics. That is very end game material in EVE Online. They're trying to flip the script on it and bring all of that stuff to the front of the game and make it more accessible. I think that once they're both up and running, I think you'll find that EVE Frontier is much more accessible from a new player perspective. And then maybe those new players, when they've got tired of EVE Frontier, will maybe graduate to EVE Online. So I think the two will actually benefit each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, one of the points I made earlier in this is that as EVE players, we spend a considerable amount of time outside and inside the game playing the encompassing game, right? So I mentioned earlier on the stream, I was at one point in EVE, I had to help organize a fleet from the frozen food section of Safeway because goons had invaded our space and tackled a carrier in a belt. At some point, we as EVE players are going to get fed up with the stuff, and then we can look at Frontier, or we can look at Vanguard, and we can go, oh, hey, Vanguard's an extraction shooter. I can go play Vanguard for a half an hour and have fun, and then I can go back to EVE Frontier, or I can go back to EVE, or I can switch out to Frontier and go hang out with my buddies in Reap or Exotech and have fun with them. And then I've had my break from my core game, and I can go over and I can come back. So ultimately, I feel that and I'm not. And by the way, folks, I am not a Fenris Creations employee. I drive a garbage truck in real life for a living. So I may not be the...
so it's okay.
There you go. But I really feel that what they're trying to do here is provide their player base with opportunities inside the same universe, so you can have fun in that universe, be it EVE or Vanguard or Frontier. And that way they retain your entertainment dollars, because it's a business, they're here to make money, but they can also retain you, because otherwise, if I get fed up with EVE, I go and play Fortnite for 20 minutes, I'm not in the EVE universe, and I'm engrossed in that. But if they can provide Vanguard, then they've got a shooter and everything else. So yeah, not all of us have. So Drash makes a really good point here, agreeing with me. Not that I'm smart, but his point is not all of us have the free time to play. So the quality of the hours and time spent is very valuable, and that's ultimately important. So real quick, Damon Zell and Robos are discussing Walrus. Is there some sort of sea-based animal that plays Frontier? I'm not sure what that's about. Do you guys know what they're talking about walruses?
Not me.
Okay.
No.
So Damon Zell, I'm gonna need you to please keep doing what you're doing and answering our friend Robos here. Mr. Robos asks a whole lot of incredibly good questions. So there we go. So I'll unpin that one because it sounds like Damon's in the chat. I really should pay the guy money for working for me. We'll unpin this message here real quick. So ultimately,
that's a very technical question.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of Frontier versus EVE, right? There's a ton of heavily technical stuff that's going on that we like. EVE third-party developers up until recently have been kind of shunned and kept apart, and you're one of those guys, and so ultimately, with the EVE technical aspect of it and the Frontier technical aspect, you're going to get some really cool conversations and really highlight the tech skills of people who play the game. So there we go. Well, ultimately here, I think we've covered a whole host of things. Chat, did you have any other pressing questions for us here at this point? I was going to ask some more stuff here, but ultimately I want to kind of put it out to chat. There's several hundred of you. I really do appreciate you coming on. Real quick, we'll do some housekeeping here real quick before I wrap up here. So my name is Seema. I'm here on weekends, Saturday and Sunday. I do interviews with the EVE player base, the EVE Frontier player base, and hopefully coming soon, the Vanguard player base. The whole point of this is to interview about 100 or so people by the end of 2027, and that way I can interview people who are line members, who are alliance execs, potentially some FC devs. I don't know if they want to have me or have their people come talk to me, because I did troll them one time. I convinced the EVE universe that one of their lead developers, CCP Rattata, yelled at a Red Lobster waitress. I apologize for that profusely. That was a shit post I made on Reddit. To make it up for them, I did send them Cheddar Biscuit Mix. So they did get that at FanFest as delivered in person by FC Yoten. But ultimately, pardon me, Mr. Wolf Lacal, you and Damon are the smarter people in this. I just drive a garbage truck, my friend. So I'm not that bright. But thank you two for being in chat and answering questions. But so that said, interview people. I'm going to interview about 100 of you folks over the next 2 years. And on Thursdays and Tuesdays between 7:30 and 9 p.m. PST, I will stream a variety of EVE, Frontier, and Vanguard, as well as some other stuff. Some housekeeping. Next week, I have Lorraine. If you are familiar with Goonswarm Federation and you're familiar with Lorraine is one of the Goonswarm Federation skirmish commanders. He's going to come on and talk to me about everything that is wrong with EVE Online, in his opinion. He's going to talk about the nullsec CSM, because he apparently is running for CSM next year in CSM 21. He's going to talk about nerfing all the mouthy. This is actually a quote from Lorraine. Finger quote. I want to talk about how I'm going to do everything I can to nerf those mouthy low-sec pilots. And when I'm elected to CSM 21, I will personally make sure CCP removes low-sec from the game. Folks, legendary yapper. It's going to be a good interview. The last time he and I talked on stream, we argued for an hour about who the homeless guy was that threw a pair of red Nike shoes at me. So next week, that'll be 2100 on Saturday on the 18th. On the 19th, special awesome show. I really appreciate these two coming on. It's going to be Rain and Rose. Rain and Rose are two of Fenris Creations Alliance Tournament's casters. They're the ones who call out the comps. They're talking about the in-game action. They're talking about entertaining you folks while PvP combat is going on. They're going to come on the show. They're going to talk about all that. They're going to talk about how they got into it, how much fun they have with it, and then if you're interested in it, they can answer some questions for you as well. So that's what's going on here on this EVE Life. Again, thank you to Fenris Creations. Thank you to Dave. Thank you to Keith for raiding the show. I'd like to thank my guests. The two of you have been awesome to talk with. Really do appreciate you coming on here. Any final shout-outs you two have for anybody in the game, anybody in chat, anybody in Frontiers?
I don't know.
Where's make the recruitment pitch go?
Yeah, listen. Hey, you had sent me a link, so let's post that in chat here real quick. And by the way, Mr. Damon Zell, if you have a link to your guys' recruitment yesterday, I didn't have a thought about having you link that. So if you are an EVE, if you're part of Exotech, please link your chat, Discord, or recruitment advertisement in the chat. We'll get some people from EVE to join you folks and have some fun and really let these two gentlemen show you what EVE is all about, or pardon me, Frontier is all about. That'll be what we're going to do here today. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, everybody's welcome. We're definitely I keep wanting to say corp, but it's tribes over here. That's the first thing that's annoyingly different. We're the tribe for helping new players. So if you want to come along and just get a taste of what the game is, I think it's fair to say we're probably one of the best avenues to do that currently in the game.
Nice. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to have you folks here. You two, thank you for coming on. What we're going to do here is we're going to go raid a gentleman by the name of Baltram TV. He is currently playing Faction Warfare in EVE Online. So, Wes, you were going to put your stream link in the chat as well. You were going to be streaming Frontier here in a little bit. So everyone go ahead and click his link and follow him. Follow my friend Wes here. He'll be playing EVE Frontiers in a little bit. You can all kind of watch him play the chat. I'll raid us out here once Wes links his chat. But again, thanks you all for coming. I don't have a Discord as of yet. I still have to fix it because Eve players are sneaky bastards, and I want to make sure we protect both my guests and myself. So again, thank you all for coming. There's your shout out to Wes. There's your shout out to his Discord. This has been This Eve Life. You folks have a great Sunday afternoon.
Thank you. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye, everybody.